All right, guys. So basically, the purpose of this workshop is to. Kyle, is your kid? That's the problematic one. All right. Yeah. I can't wait for my kids to get to the teenage stuff, but let him know that he's going to be YouTube famous. So that's good for him. But in any case, guys,
It just gets worse as time goes by. I'm just warning you.
well, yeah, I'm embracing for it. But really, again, welcome everyone. The purpose of this workshop is to introduce a sort of an all-in-one software management company for you guys to manage your service business. And just to give you some background, in the past, I've had some of the bigger names in the industry reach out to me, wanted to do some sort of a collaboration, and I've done some tests with some members of our community, and when they like they brought some topics or some issues or some requests, some features, it felt like we were hitting a wall, and so I didn't feel comfortable really recommending uh, the software, the solution for our members. And so when Costa and the job table team reached out, and we hopped on a call, and I saw everything that they were building, you could really see that this is a software that was built, designed, and has the intention of the contractor, the service business owner in mind. And so what we will do is basically I'll allow Costa to really briefly introduce himself, share a little bit about his journey, what made him and the team build this amazing software. Then we're gonna go over into a demo, okay, where we're gonna see some features, and at the end, I'm gonna allow you guys to basically grill them. Okay, I want you to ask as many questions as you want. Some of the features, some of the things that you need as business owner, and this is going to be beneficial also for Costa, but also for you to understand whether this is the right solution or not for you. And we're going to also have a little something for those of you who would be interested um, in partnering and in working with JobTable. So without further ado, Costa, good to have you, man. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
we'll jump right in, man. Give us some
Yeah, man.
background about
Yeah.
you, about the company. What's the history? What did you guys had in mind when you first started, and what are we looking at?
For sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. I was really excited to speak to your community. I know when we connected, we really hit it off. So, I was excited to connect with fellow like-minded people in the business here. So thanks again for the opportunity. Bit about us, very briefly. So my name's Costa Panagoulias. I'm one of the co-founders of JobTable. My partner's on here as well. I don't know why his name's showing Costa Panagoulias as well, but that's Johnny.
You
He's
took
one of my
over. You
partners
took
at
over his
JobTable.
yeah. You took
Yeah, I don't
over his
know. He hacked
Zoom
my
account.
system. I don't know
Hey,
what's going
Johnny.
on, but that's Johnny.
How are you guys?
So quick background, why we have at least some authority to speak in this industry, just to give you a bit of background. So I come from a software background. I've been in the software space for well over 15 years. Started my first company back in 2011, grew that company up over the next 12 years, sold it back in 2022. So fast forward to today, a few years ago, with JobTable. So my two partners in JobTable, Johnny and Charlie, two of my best friends, they own a plumbing company here in Toronto. That's where we're based out of, Toronto, Canada. And so they have a really unique story too. So they started off 15 years ago themselves, two guys in a truck doing a lot of service work. Today they've grown to over 30 employees. They do a lot of service, commercial, industrial work throughout the province. So have done really well. So a few years ago, as they were growing, they were building, like a lot of contractors and construction companies, they were just doing things very inefficiently, didn't have good processes, systems in place, like very old school pen and paper. So I came in with just my background just to help them find a software out there that already exists, just to implement in their business to help streamline, a few processes. And during this research phase, like trying out a lot of different software, what we found was everything was very overwhelming, bloated, hard to use, expensive, and like didn't really fit well within their system. Like you said, Leo, there's a lot of like roadblocks that were preventing a lot of the processes in systems. So what we did was we built something for them internally, just to use for their own business, to streamline a few things. And long story short, it was just very impactful for them right away. We decided to then package it into what is now JobTable and just put it in the hands of as many construction companies and contractors as possible. So today there's just over 1,000 people that use JobTable across Canada and the US, and growing every day. And so I like to just give that background because, like you mentioned, Leo, this is literally, in every sense of the word, a software built and designed by contractors for contractors. And I mean that in like a literal sense. These my two partners, they currently still own and operate their own business. So it's very unique in that sense. Where a lot of other software out there, which is very evident when you use them, they're built by engineers, by coders who are not really like in the business. So that's a quick background on us. Johnny, I don't know if you want to add anything, but that's who we are.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Costa. The only way to explain it is, again, being in the business, we've used every software there is out there. When, my wife was my office manager, and as we started having kids, I noticed that, there's a sector of the business that I need to pick the pieces up from. So we tried a lot of different softwares, and I found out, being a tradesman, on how the industry actually functions, that none of the software actually functions the way we actually have to bill, the progress billing, holdbacks, the way we project manage. Everything is just very general. And I know a lot of people use QuickBooks now. QuickBooks, I always say, contractors use QuickBooks, but, so does your hairdresser, right? So it's not specific to an industry. And I found it kind of hard, especially, we're tradesmen, right? We're on the field, we're in our trucks, we're constantly moving, we're constantly shaking. And I just found that, many times at night, on the weekends, when I want that family time or my alone time, I'm spending all my time trying to catch up on billing and, get paperwork in order. And I just found that there was nothing that was built for us. And the only way to actually have a product that is built for us is for somebody in the industry to, dive in and actually put, kind of, instead of pen to paper, put kind of, the processes into a software and give it to everybody to use the way the industry is supposed to function, right? So again, getting back to what Costa said, it's literally designed by contractors for contractors.
Beautiful. Awesome. So I see we have here quite a mix of businesses. And let's do a quick round of you guys. Just introduce briefly yourself, location, and what industry you're with. We'll start with Michal, Larissa, then we'll go over to Avianci, Yaniv, Bradley, and Gabriel.
Okay, so hey, my name is Michal. We have a family chimney service company in Houston, Texas. Now we use Workies as the, I'm not loving it. We used the Wix program, which was actually really good. While we had our website on Wix, everything was under the same roof. It was wonderful. Anyways,
that's it for now, Michal. I want you to keep
it. I'm super excited to hear what they have to offer. Anyways,
yeah.
Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Beautiful.
Hi, my name is Larissa, and we based in Orange County, California. We are a general contractor specializing in outdoor remodeling, and we also not using any specific CRM. And very interested
Okay.
to
Perfect.
Hello, my name is Avians. We're located in Portland, Oregon, and we do residential concrete work like driveways, flat works, and retaining walls. And interesting to listen to what's going on here.
Perfect. Nice to meet you.
Mhm.
Yeah, Yaniv, and then or Bradley. I see you're unmuted. So Bradley and then Yaniv.
Hey, I'm Brad from the Boston area. We service from Portland down to Boston, a little bit past, like in Newport, Rhode Island. So we cover 4 states. It's really tight up here, and yeah, we use House Call Pro currently. No, we're a chimney business as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yaniv.
Yaniv from Los Angeles, GC, specializing in all the problems that the other people make.
I like that.
Very interesting to hear what you guys have to say. I'm using right now so many items in my system that I don't know where my legs and my hands are. I got from Google 2 types of Google ads with combine it with town square and combine it with house. So I had enough.
Yes.
All right.
Very good. Very good.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. So, Costa, as you can hear, there's quite the mixture of businesses. And as you know, like we have a big chunk of the businesses who are in our program, which is, similar to some of the work Johnny's doing, which is more emergency. Some here are more, GCs, higher tickets, longer sales processes. So as you go through the demo, I would really want you to really emphasize and put some attention on the different use cases for both type of services, right? The
For sure.
emergency and the higher ticket.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so, let's feel free to share your screen and let's start with the demo.
Okay, perfect. Do you see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay. And everyone, thanks. Nice to meet everyone. Thanks for doing that, Lior. That's really helpful just to help make sure I cover points that are most relevant. So great to meet everyone once again. So if you see my screen, this is Job Table. So when you first log in to the app, this is essentially what you see. So what I'm going to do is just cover a couple of the high level, some of the main points that I think would be most relevant to a lot of people in this room right now. So again, when you first log in, this is what you see, big color coded buttons. It's the dashboard just to reference the section that you're in. One thing I just want to note quickly is everything that I'm showing you on the computer here, you can do just as easy on your phone. So for example, this is how it would look on the app. So unlike a lot of other apps which were mentioned here, there's a lot of in most apps there's a lot of functionality that you cannot do on the app that you have to do on the computer. This is not the case with Job Table. So it's a progressive web app. In short, it means like everything I'm showing you on the desktop you can do just as easy on the phone. So just keep that in mind as well. So back to the desktop here. So I always like to start off with clients up here. So this is just a very simple way to manage your contacts, keep everything centralized and organized. As I'm sure you all know, one of the most important assets in any business is your database, your contacts, just having a centralized place to manage that. So in here, you can easily like pull up a client, get their information. But beyond just their information, you can easily see all the jobs you've done or doing for that client, any quotes, invoices. You can even make notes if you want to reference something that's relevant for that client. So just a simple contact manager here. That's the client's area. Moving on to quotes. So this is, you'll notice the color coding, which is relevant once you're actually using it to see kind of, where you are in the app, just for functionality. So the yellow quotations here. So this is a very critical part that we notice with a lot of our clients and people we speak to when it comes to sending quotations. So first of all, what we find is a lot of contractors are leaving a lot of money on the table when it comes to this process. Like you're sending out a quote, you're initiating the sales process, and a lot of contractors don't realize that this is a sales process, and you got to engage in that sales process professionally and proper. So how we solve for not leaving money on the table. So typical scenario with a contractor who's wearing multiple hats, you have a potential job, you're preparing the quote, you send it out, and then that's it. Like there's no follow-up, there's no engagement afterwards. You're kind of waiting for that person to get back to you or not. And what ends up happening in a lot of cases, that person ends up going with the contractor who was more proactive, who was following up more. So how we solve for that in two ways. One, when you send out a quote with Jobtable, there are automated emails that get sent out to the client if that quote hasn't been approved. That alone helps a lot of our clients just win more jobs because it just re-engages with that client and just re-engages that conversation. So that alone is a big help. But beyond that, everything is just very visible and in front of you. So for example, you can just come in here, filter, these are my pending quotes. I can send reminders with a click. So everything's like right in your face. There's an overview box here, so I can see I have 7 pending quotes worth 24,000. So it's kind of impossible for things to slip through the cracks. So that's just kind of like high level how you manage quotes. To create a quote, I'm going to quickly whip one up here just to see how simple that is. So I'm going to click create new quote. First thing is who's the client. So your client list populates here. You can add a new client. I'm just going to select an existing client and now create the job. So I'm going to create a new job for this quote. So let's just say this is I don't know, electrical panel upgrade. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just want to give it a unique name. Okay, so I have the client, I have the job, and now I'm just simply adding line items to this quote. So if I start typing here, you'll notice all of my saved line items that just start populating, ones that I've used before. So for example, electrical panel upgrade, I can update this description, put in a cost, add line item. Next, and you can add as many line items as you want, say permit and inspection, put in the cost, and you kind of just keep going, right? You can add as many line items as you want. So that's essentially how you're adding line items, not to overcomplicate. You can drag and drop very simply. Now, one unique feature, which a lot of our clients love, is the ability to add optional line items. So these are kind of like services, value add-on services that you want to offer to the client. You don't want to add it to the quote, but you want to give the client the option to select these services if they want to. So this is a good way to like add upsell revenue and just increase revenue on quotes. So for example, in this use case, for an electrician, let's just say like I'm going to do, I see this a lot, surge protection service. So I'm going to add this to the quote, but I'm going to click optional line item. So it's not going to add this 500 to the quote. It's going to give the client the option to add it. So, and I'll show you how they do that as well. So that's essentially how you're adding a quote. Very simple. You're adding line items, drag and drop, add any optional line items. You can add your discounts, your tax rate would populate here. You can also take deposits. So this is a useful one as well. Does anyone here, do you guys take deposits often on quotes? For those who do, I see some thumbs up. Yeah. So let me show you how this works then, because this is, again, really, really unique how we do that. So let's just say, I don't know, 30% deposit for this quote. So remember this here. Down here is just your terms and conditions, your contract language. So you consolidate this all within the quote. You can also add attachments to a quote. So a lot of people use this for like information about your company, testimonials, photos, whatever it is you want to accompany with the quote. And that's it. I click proceed. Now the PDF is going to generate here in a couple of seconds. Here we go. So here's the PDF of the quote, obviously branded to your logo, your colors, nice professional looking quote broken down. Here's your contract terms. So everything's like on the same document. So now, with a click, I can send this quote off right from the app. You can customize this email and everything, of course. So you can send it directly through the software. So a couple of things to note here. When I send this quote out, it's going to attach the PDF, any attachments, but there's also this blue button here in the email. It's review and approve. So this allows the client to review and approve it, digitally sign with a signature as well. So I'm gonna actually send this to myself so you can see what the client would see on their end. Then that's it. So I created the quote, sent it to the client, in a couple of minutes like that. So let me just open up the email that I just got so you can see now what the client sees. A couple of things to note here as well. When a client opens up a quote or an invoice, you get notified when they do so. So that's very helpful on the quote side to know, that they've just seen your quotes. It's a good time to maybe follow up. And obviously with the invoices to know that they got the invoice. So what you're seeing here, I got the email, I clicked on that blue review and approve link. And now this is what the client could see. So now they can actually open up the quote on their computer, on their phone. Looks very clean, just like this. Here's that optional line item. So I wanted to show you this. You can see it's separated. So there's a checkbox here, and you'll notice the price is changing whether I select this or not. So that's how that works. And then scrolling down, here's your terms and conditions, your contract language. And now there's another checkbox here for them to acknowledge that they've read and reviewed the quote. And here they can digitally sign. So this is the client's experience. This is a very important section. If you're not getting signatures on your quotes, we encourage all of our clients to do that. I'm sure Johnny can speak on this as well. This is the simplest way to protect yourself as a contractor. There's a lot of contractual disputes and things that happen regularly. So this is just a nice and easy way to protect yourself. And we encourage, no matter how big or small the job is, try and get a signature.
To jump in here quickly, Costa, this was a big part that I noticed not a lot of softwares had. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter whether you do, whether you're a GC, you do chimney repairs, you're a roofer, landscaper. We always have this thing where we talk to the client, we put a quote together, everything, everybody's happy for us to get started. We get started, and all of a sudden there's always that, oh, you said you were going to do this, you said you were going to do that. So we wanted to implement something like this where it's like, look, you read the quote, I put it out there, black and white, exactly what I'm doing, exactly what I'm not doing, and you have the ability to read it, agree to it, and sign it, right? Because this is now a legal binding document, right? So if there ever is that issue where the client has said, no, you said that you were going to do this, this, and this, and this, well, here's the quote, and not only the quote, here's your signature. Right. So it like Costa says, it's stopping these stupid, contract disputes over something that, wasn't said. Right. Like clients are always trying to get a little bit more out of us. They think that, for us to move a wall or for us to, put a little bit more mortar, it's free. Like, what's the big deal? You're there. No, this is all part of, the job. That's why we quote, whether we're doing 100 square feet or we're doing 1,000. That's why the price is different, right? So very important here. And like Costa said, no matter how small or how big, like in my business, we get a sign, a signature for every quote we send, because that protects us. God forbid something goes sour.
Yeah. So that's the client experience. If you're not sending quotes out in this, like I love giving this example as well, just because this happened to me recently. I was looking for an arborist to do some work around my house. I got 3 quotes, 3 companies come out. One of them, we really hit it off. He was really good. You could tell, amazing. I was like, I'm gonna definitely go with this guy. So he looks around my house. He's like, all right, give me 10 minutes. I'm going to prepare the quote. After 10 minutes, he comes knocking on my door and hands me a handwritten quote, which it was all chicken scratch. I couldn't even read 70% of it. And I look at this and I was kind of taken back, and I was busy. I'm not going to whatever. So, because of that, and I had no time to call him back. I'm like, hey, I can't read this. Can you resend it? Because of the way he gave me the quote, I ended up going with the company who sent me an online quote that was just easier, less I had to think about. It just it was an easy process. So keep that in mind as well. I can't imagine how many jobs, that amazing contractor who's very skilled at what he does was losing jobs because of just how he's preparing the quote. So anyways, just an example there. So I'm going to prepare this or accept this so the client can accept it. When that happens, you get notified. And now that kind of takes me now into this next section here, which is jobs. So this is like the main hub of the app here. If you're if you're a company that does like longer term projects,
Costa, sorry
this is
to
where-
cut you off, man, but
Yeah.
we put the 30% deposit. Won't
Yes.
they automatically be forwarded to make
Yes,
the payment?
that's-
How does that work?
That's what I'm getting. Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to get to here. So when a quote gets approved, so this is the job section now. So when a quote gets approved, it automatically becomes a job in job table. So now here it is, electrical panel upgrade. So here's the job that got approved. So now I'm going to go into this job. So now in this job here, this is what you see. So this is just the summary of the job. So the details of the job, profit. So you'll notice invoice summary here. Invoice to date 11/25. So if I come into the invoices, because that quote had a 30% deposit and then that quote got approved, on invoice for that deposit amount, which is 11/25 here, it automatically got created and sent to the client right away. So that was just automatically done through the system. So that's what this invoice is, 11/25. So that's how the deposit. So now let's say that person pays you, whether it's check, transfer, whatever the case is, or if you're integrated. By the way, we are integrated to Stripe, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, payment processor. So you are able to accept credit card payments online as well. So assuming they paid by credit card, this would be marked as paid, or you can record manual payments as well if you want to accept checks or transfer. So I can come in, record a payment. Let's say record payment in full. What was the payment method? Check. And that's it. So I recorded this payment. It automatically sends a receipt, a notification to the client, and it marks that invoice as paid here. So that's how.
Can you show the email that was received with the invoice and the request for payment?
Yeah, so all of that is in the messaging here. So you can customize all the messages and what was sent. So for example, payment confirmation. This is the email that would get sent, which you can customize. So they attach this email receipt confirmation, and there's dynamic fields as well. So yeah, you can customize all of.
Not the payment confirmation, the invoice that was sent after they accepted the quote.
Got it right here. So this is the new invoice message. So just like this, which again you can customize. Appreciate your business. Please see attached invoice with the pay online if you're integrated to Stripe. And that's it with the
Awesome.
attachment of the invoice.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's that. But coming back to the jobs, again, this is the hub of the app here. So in here, anything you need to do for this job moving forward, whether it's extras, add-ons, invoicing, progress billing, like document storage, it's all in here. So for example, attachments, here's where you can add any files, folders, document, floor plans, like whatever the case is. This is a popular section for Johnny's company. They use this a lot. You can give access to documents on site to your team and things like that. Just anything you need to access from anywhere. So this is attachments. Job costing. So this is where you can add, materials, labor, like any costs that are associated to this job. So you can actually see what your profit is. So for example, let's say I had to like rent some equipment for this job. Put in the cost. You can upload a receipt if you wanted to as well, and it just adds a job cost. So if I come back to summary, you'll see expenses, and here's my new profit. So the expenses are tied to the job costing. So that's how you can kind of keep your costs managed. Invoices here. So here you can see all the invoices for this job. If you're doing progress billing, this is where I'll do invoices last. So you can get a feel for it, but this is where you can see the invoices for this job. Any quotations here, you can manage all your quotes for this job. I want to show you quickly add-ons. So like in almost every project, any job, there's add-ons that happen. Like the client wants some extra work, or there's some extra work involved for this job. So there's two ways to go about it. Actually, line items, this is a very important section here, which is related to the add-ons. So what line items is, this shows you each line item that came from that original quote and the amount of the line item, what was invoiced to date, what's remaining. So I like to call this like a digital schedule of values. So you can see exactly, what's going on with each line item. So now in the event of an add-on, so let's say for this job, the client now, I don't know, there's some extra work that's involved. So now there's two ways to kind of keep, and this is where we see a lot of contractors kind of get disorganized and not kind of keep things on track. So I'm going to come into quotations. I'm going to just click new quote. So it automatically brings the client and the job details, and I'm just going to add a line item for this extra. So let's just say, there's some grounding and bonding upgrades that are required, $2,000. I'm going to add this extra. And that's it. I'm just going to proceed, create the quote just like normal, but it's tied to this job. And that's what I want to show you, how it's all connected into the job. So you can see here, it's a quote, grounding and bonding, 2,000. I'm just going to create this quote. Again, just to show you how it's all connected into the job. So now if I come back to the job into quotations, now you're going to see two quotes. The original quotation that was approved, now this extra, number one, grounding and bonding for 2,000. So now let's say you sent that quote out and now the client is able to sign it and review it. Or you can do manual approvals as well. Let's say you got a verbal, a confirmation or whatnot. I can approve it manually. And that's it. So now it's all tracked, it's all logged. If I come into line items, you'll see the contract summary updates from 3750 to 5750. There's a 2,000 extra. And now there's a new line item here, extra number one, 2,000 that I can now invoice from. So this kind of helps, again, keeps a process, keeps things logged. No room for misinterpretation, or the client's like, oh, I don't remember you saying this or what we agreed on. So this is just a simple way to do that. And then the second way, more simpler way to manage add-ons, there's certain situations where you don't need to go through the quote process and have them sign it or do all that. Maybe it's like a closer client or whatever the case is. So you can just come directly into line items and just add a line item from here. So let's say this client's like, hey, can you throw in some pot lights in my bedroom? It's like, yeah, it's going to be an extra $1,000. And they're going to say, yeah, no problem. So you can just come into line item and just add a line item. So pot lights, let's say bedroom pot lights, 1,000, add line item. And that's it. It just adds the line item, contract summary updates. And now there's an extra number two, bedroom pot lights, 1,000 that I can now invoice from. So that's how you can manage these add-ons and change orders kind of on the fly, very simply.
Awesome. I want to.
Yep.
Is there anything else on the jobs? Because I wanna break it up a bit. I want to see if there are some questions from members. Is there anything in the jobs that you want to go over before we go into some questions?
No, just the last part here, history. This is where you could, just a timestamped log of everything that's happened for the job. So you can reference back months later, a year later to kind of see exactly what happened. So that's really useful as well. But yeah, I'll stop there. Any questions about jobs? Actually, no,
Yes.
sorry. There was invoicing. So this is very important, Lior, just to quickly do this. This is relevant
Yeah.
for all cases. But so let's say now for this job, you're ready to invoice. So we have that deposit invoice. So the way invoicing work, I'm just going to click new invoice. And you're basically selecting the line item and how much you want to invoice for that line item. So let's say electrical panel upgrade, I can see there's 2,100 left to invoice. Let's say I want to invoice 50%. Done. Next, let's say this permit, I want to invoice that in full. Next, so you get the idea. I'm selecting the line item,
Yeah.
how much I want to invoice. This is very useful if you're doing like bigger jobs, progress billing. This kind of keeps things on track, and that's it. Similar to the quotes, you can add your discount, your tax, set your due date, proceed. And now the PDF of the invoice is generating here. And just to show you something that's nice on the invoice as well, especially if you're doing any progress billing, you can see for each line item, it gives a little breakdown. So the current draw is 1050, this was invoiced to date, and this is remaining. And again, you can send that invoice directly through the app.
And just to
Beautiful.
add one more thing here, as you can see through the jobs, this is where I noticed there was no software that does it like this. Because again, we're always on the road, we're on the go. And sometimes it gets hard to track, like how much have I invoiced, how much is left. And the way we've designed this is basically there is no way for you to overbill or underbill, right? It keeps things right in line, not only for your accounting, but also transparent with the client. So literally, you know, Lior, I know we talked before, you know, I have a family and I like to travel. So a lot of times I'll be somewhere and, you know, I'll get a text or a call from one of my guys and it's like, hey, you know, we're done the rough-in, right? Now, let's say it's a $20,000 job and the rough-in was $12,000. I've sent them a deposit invoice before. All I have to do is literally go on my phone, go inside that job, go into invoices, select the line items. And again, the way I like to reference this is like Uber Eats, right? Like you're just adding things to your cart. It's very transparent on what you build, what's left to bill, right? I'm picking either a percentage or a dollar value out of what's left to bill on that line item, and I'm sending it. So like, I can't stress to everybody in this room enough. I'm telling you, like, you know, we do massive jobs and, you know, I've sent, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars of invoices in literally minutes, right? And you know, you don't need a bookkeeper, you don't need, you know, your account to look over everything. This puts full control back into your hands where you know where all the money is at any given time on the project. And I, you know, for anybody who has used other softwares out there, I have not seen one do accounting like this, right? Because again, we got a million things on our mind, and it's very hard when you got multiple projects on the go to remember, you know, shit, how much left do I have left to invoice on this, right? What was the last invoice I sent? And that's why we
Yeah.
also added the history, right? Because that history is a timestamp that cannot be edited, right? So you
Right.
know when the invoice was sent, when it was paid, when the quote was approved. No more sifting through emails, trying to find out when was the last time I sent this, when was that. And this is exactly where, like, this is a big indicator where you can see people in the industry who have done it before and the struggles that we face day to day, how we're trying to simplify everybody's life and put the power back into your hands.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Let's move to some questions from the people on this webinar. Does anyone have any questions so far until like on the clients, quotations, and job management within the platform?
If you like, let's say you're a project manager and you have access to that app and you incur like expenses, you can record the expenses, like, right? But like, can you take a snapshot of the receipt? Like,
Yeah.
close
So right
funds?
in here, there's a place here where you can drop files in for the receipt as well.
Okay,
Right in
so
here.
picture,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
all
you could.
on mobile.
Yeah, you can do this all on the app.
All on the app. And remember too, this one is in the job, right? So this type of job costing is specific to this job, right? So at least it gives you a visualization of, you know, how much profit you're making on the job, right? So any type of job costing, whether it be labor, materials, equipment rental, you know, so on and so forth. This is specific to this job. Now, you know, we'll get to it near the end of it, but there's also a section to also add any like general company expenses that's not specific to a job, like, you know, insurances, gas. That's in another section. So that's why jobs is like the hub. This is like where you project manage. This is where you're going to get the real life snapshot of what is happening on the job, how you're doing on the job at any given time.
Okay, and aside from the job, then there is a place where you can record other expenses. So you don't really need to use any other accounting software, right?
Technically, no. Yeah, we do have a lot of clients who literally don't use an accounting software. Just since we're talking about that, that's in reports. So in reports here, I can come into expenses and add an expense. So it's the same pop-up, except it's not linked to any job. So this is where you can add just office supplies, software, like whatever, to track expenses.
And for anybody using accounting softwares, we are also integrated into QuickBooks, right? So if your accountant is, stuck on using QuickBooks, the way we're integrated is basically any quote, any invoice, any expense that you record through Job Table automatically syncs back into your QuickBooks.
Yeah. Any other questions, or should we move on to more
I was curious
service?
You passed by it a little fast, but in the quote itself, we like sending like before pictures and then the after pictures when they're ready to pay the invoice. Do you have?
Yeah, actually, great question. So here, so when you're creating a quote, you could in the quote add attachments to a quote. So if you're creating a quote, there's a section here where you can add an attachment. So this is where I've seen a lot of like the before photos and whatnot. And now let's say you're ready to invoice, you complete the job and you want to invoice. When you're creating the invoice, you can add an attachment here as well. Same thing, we can just add the after photos. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Thank you.
no problem. All right, so yeah,
Anything
let's
else,
move
guys,
on.
or
Yep.
can we move on? Yeah.
All right.
How is it so far? Michal, Larissa, Yaniv.
Mm.
You guys like it?
I don't know. It's not my cup of tea yet, but I'm still listening.
He's joking. He likes being sarcastic,
I
Costa.
know. I could tell.
All
I
right.
could tell.
All right, man.
All right. Yeah, let's
Let's keep
let's
on
move
going.
on here. So yeah, I won't get into invoices in too much detail because I already showed you how to invoice. This is just you can see all the invoices for all the jobs. You can easily like search a client, search an invoice. You want to see, okay, these are all my overdue invoices. It gives a nice breakdown here. So this is like, again, it kind of impossible for any invoice to slip through the cracks. Everything's right here, easily searchable. Schedule.
One thing to know, sorry, Costa,
Yep.
go back to invoices for a sec. One thing to know here, guys, that again, we skip over a lot, but we normally get the feedback after. So when you come into invoices, as you can see, every section has a quick overview snapshot. So, when you're using any type of general accounting system, whether it be, August, September, you're always curious on how the year is going, right? How you guys are doing in business, right? You might seem like you've had a busy year or whatever it is. So when you come into invoices, you can see it's a clear snapshot of what your current invoice is, what's overdue, how many of them, and how much you've done in total, right? So in typical accounting softwares and a lot of the softwares out there, in order to do this, you got to pull reports, right? So it's kind of a tedious process. Where here, right? You're on your dashboard, you go into invoices, and right there, right in front of you is a snapshot on what you've done, who owes you money, how long it's overdue, how many invoices, right? It's right there in your face, like at one click, right? And this is the big thing on how I said we wanted to simplify everything, right? Because I just found a lot of these softwares are very, very complicated when you're trying to pull any report or trying to find out, okay, how many people owe me money? How much is overdue? How many invoices do I have floating out there? Who hasn't paid me? Again, you're going into one section and it's right here in one snapshot.
Yeah, that's a good point here. You can just, again, like, okay, Q1 2025, boom, you can see like, what was invoiced, what was overdue, what's paid. So yeah, that's a quick snapshot. Yeah, so that's invoices. Schedule. So this is actually an area we're currently in the process of totally revamping. I wish I could show you the new one because it's going to be, pretty fantastic. But this is pretty much a very, very simple schedule where you can like add events, color code them, link them to jobs, assign team members to events. So let's say, quotation for Leor, you can add a label. So like, what is it? New meeting, service, job, quotation. You can add any description here. You can assign a team member as well. link it to a job, add a location, which will just link to Google Maps, and that's it. So you create the event, it comes on your calendar. If you assigned a team member, it goes to their calendar and notifies them. And it's color coded, so it's visually, appealing, and kind of keep your organization, in line, essentially. So that's essentially the schedule, in a nutshell.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So if I have a few subcontractors, do they see each other's schedule or they only see their own?
Good question. So in the team section here, you are able to add team members, but now the nice thing here is you have full control on their permission. So like what they can or cannot see. So for example, let's say you want to add subcontractor. Administrator gives them full access to everything. Limited access just gives them, presets. Or you can fully custom. So let's say you want to add someone, but you don't want them to see any monetary values. You turn that off. All you want them to see is, let's say the job information. So I'm going to just, view only on the jobs. Let's say their schedule. So when it comes to schedule, you can have them view their own schedule, view everyone's schedule. You can even choose if they want to edit their own schedule. So you do have full control over that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was curious, like if, so if a subcontractor like sends a invoice, so does he see all the history of his invoices, or can he see other people's invoices? So I guess here you can actually, set his roles and permissions. Like he cannot see anybody else's invoices, just his, right?
Well, no, well, yes and no. So like in your case, if you're showing monetary values, then they're gonna see all the invoices.
You can't make it that they'll see only their invoices. Like I don't want them to see everybody's invoices. I have no interest in having my subcontractor see anybody else's.
Yeah.
It's a valid
Sorry.
point, Costa, because we have a lot of the service businesses that we work with aren't necessarily working directly with like a W-9 employees in their company. They're working with what you would consider like a outside subcontractors for a certain percentage, 30, 40, 50% of the job. And they're basically acting sort of as a lead generator for those subcontractors, right? So what you hear from Michal is something that I know for a fact will come up from a lot of the locksmiths who are in the program, garage door companies who are in the program, air duct and drive vent cleaning, chimney, a lot of the services that are in the emergency. I think that this is a feature that is worth keeping in mind.
Yeah.
Can I add?
Yep.
I'll just add a small thing that we used the Wix system and it didn't have that option. That's the main reason why we left it, because when I have someone going out for a job, I would like him to go out to a job but not have any access to any financial anything that the rest of people in the company work. It's really good to have like separated. So we moved to a different system just because of that.
Yeah. So the only issue I see with that is, again, this system is based on a company, right? So as a subcontractor, he would be billing you, and then essentially you would be billing the client with your markup on it, right? Now the issue is that's not the way.
No, he literally goes to the client, sends a quote, the client pays it through the invoice. We get the money and then I pay him his percentage.
Okay. Yeah. So the way it works here is just like an accounting software, right? So it's the company. So if he's sending a quote through JobTable under, your company umbrella, you're giving him access to the monetary values, because this is all going back into your accounting system. So in order to have him bill, he would need access to your monetary values, right? Because he's almost acting as the face of your company when he's billing, right? So for him to be billing where that, like, he has a section of his own just for his accounting, and then you have your own, that would be almost like having two different accounts, right? Because you can't have two different billing on the same account without one seeing the other. You know what I
I'm
mean?
not talking about like billing system. I'm just talking about like the access. So now when
Yeah,
we
yeah,
use different
I get it.
systems,
Yeah.
so we have the subcontractors, they see only there. It like filters it out. So if
Yeah,
he
yeah.
goes, he sees only his
Yeah.
invoices. It's
I
not
get it. It makes complete sense. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and
Yeah.
that could be something to consider, or maybe like we limit access to only invoices that they send, for example. Yeah, I get what you're trying to do.
Just a question. So if he has access to that information, can he see the total income of the company? Like, can he see the yearly income, the monthly income? Can he see that information?
Yeah,
Like,
we right now, like full transparency, we don't have, there's no ability to limit access on like an individual team members basis where I can only show like invoices for this client. If you're showing monetary values, that means they can see all the monetary values. Like Johnny said, it's kind of built as an umbrella. But I totally get your point, and that's definitely valid
yeah,
for,
that's
yeah.
It's a big issue for us.
Yeah, it's a big issue for us.
Yeah, totally get it.
Thank you,
Totally get it.
Michal, for bringing this up. And this
Yeah,
is, I think
for sure.
this is also great for Costa and Johnny.
This is how
and
we
team
improve
to-
I love it.
yeah,
Like when there's
yeah.
things we can't do, this is literally how we're evolving every day. So, you know, that's great feedback.
Yeah, yeah, and again, that's the I think that's the nice thing of having also different type of service businesses and different operations where, you know, like I would put most of them under the umbrella of like the Israeli American or the Israeli Canadian service companies. This is the way that they work, like with the subcontractors rather than the traditional, you know, like employee
Yeah.
setup. And that's a big chunk, I would say,
Yeah,
of the
makes
service
sense.
industry. So it's just something worth keeping in mind. So thank you,
Yeah.
Michal.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. And just so you know, that's exactly what we encourage all of our users, is feedback, right? Because again, you can better even your own personal business, right? You encourage feedback from your clients, right, to get better. And it's the same with our software. Every one of our users, we encourage feedback because what we're trying to do is literally give them the most simple software there is to use. Now, I can tell you from a plumber's perspective or a GC's perspective, right? But maybe a roofer might say, this is the way we do things. And like we say, that's the only way to evolve, right? As long as it betters the software in a whole and it doesn't limit anybody else, we're always implementing new things, new ideas, right? We look at everybody who uses our software as like a trade partner, right? We're in this together, right? We're here to simplify your lives, and we're here to provide the best product possible. So we take in, I can't tell you, countless amounts of feedback, and then we go to the drawing board, and then we figure out how to give that new feature in the most simplest way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So definitely, what I would, you know, like Costa, because me and you and John, like we have our own channel. So, you know, if and when an update for this occurs, just like keep me posted, then I will also update it
Absolutely. Yeah.
for the
100%.
members. Awesome. So let's
keeping a-
move on. Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
keeping aligned with service. This is work order. So this is a very popular feature from a lot of our clients who do any type of service work. So when I say, just to specify service work, this is a service, like let's say I'm a plumber, and I have someone call me because there's a flood in my basement, right? So like there's no quote required. I just need to send a technician out to do the service, and then like we invoice after. So this is like a typical scenario of a work order. So let's say you get that call, there's a service, you send a technician out to do the service, and now what the technician would do right on site is create a work order, which is time and material. So you'd come in, create a work order, similar flow as the quotes. You had the client, select or add the service. Let's say this is generally people put in like an address, let's say 2389 Street, put in any caller details, names, whatever. So you create the service. So now you would add to the work order the time and materials. This was a basement flood. You can put in the description of the work, the technician. So let's say, you know, Johnny came in from this time till this time. Materials that I used was, you know, this ABS pipe, whatever, copper piping, truck charge. All right, so you're putting your materials, any recommendations to the client, add to work order. So now, again, remember this, you do this like from your phone, from your tablet. So now I'm the technician, I create the work order. Now I come back to the client and show them this nice professional work order, which is like, here's what I did, here's a description of the work, these are the hours that I worked, the materials that I used, the recommendations to the client. And then right on site, you can even have the client sign off on this, the tech can sign off on this. So it's a very nice, like streamlined experience and system for technicians and service work. So now I can even send this to the client for the reference as well, and I create the work order. So now the nice thing here is, as the owner now of the company, you get notified like, hey, this work order is complete. You can review it. And now with one click, you can generate an invoice. You can go from work order to invoice. Now I could generate invoice, and it literally now takes the line items from that work order, and now I'm applying just the monetary values to them. So let's say, you know, Johnny, you know, he's expensive. I'm going to bill him at $150 an hour, you know, ABS pipes. You're just putting the costs of the materials from that work order and update. So just like that work order to invoice, it even attaches the work order as well, and you send the invoice. So a lot of our clients like this for two main reasons that I see. It went wrong because there's no email on that work order. But so two reasons why clients love this feature. One, from what I hear a lot, there's a lot of owners that I speak to, service companies, who don't like sending technicians or employees to do service work in a lot of cases, because they're either like, there's no process in place. They don't want them to invoice. They don't want to see like what they're charging for the work. And because there's no process, a lot of times the owner goes out and does the service work for them. But in this case, now the owner can forget about that. Just train your employees on how to do work orders. You can even restrict monetary values and just give them access to work orders. And now I can be responsible for the invoicing, and the employee can't see what I'm invoicing. And then beyond that, it just, like I mentioned, it just really gives a really high quality professional experience between you and the client, very transparent. You know, there's a work order. Like I've never had a service done where like a technician comes with a nice work order within like 10 minutes with exactly what they done, where I can sign it. So it makes me feel good that good work was done. And it's very transparent as well. It avoids situations where you do a service call, you send an invoice 2 days later, the client's like, hey, what's this charge for? What's that for? So it avoids a lot of that. So a lot of our clients do like this work order to invoice process for service work. So that's
and also too, like even for ourselves, and a lot of clients out there, they also use this for a lot of those like 1-day time and material jobs. So they'll go in, you know, they track their time. Okay, I was here from, you know, they know I'm charging you $100 an hour plus whatever the material is. So they'll come in, you know, okay, I was here from 7 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. You know, I used, you know, this many 2x4s. I use this, I use that. They put on the work order, they get the client to sign, you know, the technician will sign. They get a copy of the work order. You have a copy for your record. And then again, like Costa showed you, from one click, you can turn it into an invoice. So now when they receive the invoice, your time and material or your service call matches exactly. So there's no more of that gray area where it's like, you know, oh, you're charging me for 3 hours, but your guy was only here for 2 hours. It's like, no. Look back at the work order, right? He was there from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., right? He showed you exactly, you signed, he signed, and I'm just billing you for exactly what was on the work order. You know what I mean? No more, no less. So it really creates that level of transparency between you and the client. And again, just like the digital signature, it just avoids any arguments, any back and forth. Again, I don't know if you guys face this a lot, but, especially on these time and materials or service calls, I always notice a lot of my clients coming back after, a week of receiving the invoice. And it's like, oh, you guys are billing us for 5 hours. Was he here for 5 hours or was he here for 4 hours? It's like, well, go back to the work order. It's right there, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's recorders.
Yeah, I want us to, so we have the timesheets and reports. I know that people are kind of expecting this to try to frame it within the hour. So
Yeah, we're done.
let's quickly go because this really is a robust system. So let's go over this quickly and then see if we have some more questions.
We'll wrap it up here. Yeah, timesheets really quickly here. This is probably the feature that saves a lot of our clients the most amount of time. So including Johnny's company, before timesheets, they were doing like paper logs where every week their guys would have like little paper, fill out their timesheets, send it to the secretary. Secretary would take this, trying to decipher what it is, input it into the payroll system. So it's like, and that's a lot of companies are still doing this from what I speak to. So now timesheets, really quickly here. So most employees are doing timesheets from their phone. So this is what it would look like. They open up timesheets. There's a clock. They start the clock. The end of the day comes, they stop the clock, and now they save their timesheet. So all they have to do is select the job. So, okay, for today, I was at this job, and that's it. If I was at more jobs, I just add more entries, and that's it. So now this is the administrator's view. So the owner now, or the administrator, can come in. This is where you can view, edit, approve hours, generate reports as well. So let's say you're doing payroll. Okay, for last week, I want to see approved hours for this employee or for this job. So you can generate any reports. But what's really cool, really quickly here, so let's say this one I just did, I'm going to approve it. Okay, looks good. So now what happens if I go back to the job and I come into job costing, you'll notice there's a labor expense. So it's automatically calculating the labor charge that's associated to that job through the timesheets. So you can literally like start tracking your profit for a job like by the penny if you're doing timesheets. So that's really quickly what timesheets, how that works. And yeah, lastly, reports, just quickly here, like every report, standard reports, but the unique thing with all these reports is that you can filter them by client or job. So my favorite report here, accounts receivable, you can see all your unpaid revenue, how long it's been unpaid, but you can filter that by client or job. So let's say, okay, for this client, how much does he owe me? Here you go, breaks down the invoice. You can create account statements right on the fly as well. And that's reports. So I know we're short for time, but yeah, that's kind of the app in a run through, high level. I guess we'll stop for any questions at all.
First of all, again, Johnny Costa, phenomenal job. I think that as someone who coaches and trains and works with hundreds of business owners, seeing something this robust yet this simple is really admirable. And again, like this is why we're doing this, because I think that every service business needs this. And like there's just some features that just for those it's worth using. Whether it's the invoicing, that like you're keeping track of everything that you sent, or like with the quotation, just like making sure that it sends an auto follow-up and you're not missing opportunities. So really good job on this, guys.
Thank you.
I want to see from some of the members who are still here on the call, if there are any other questions that you have on the software, on the use cases, anything at all.
I have a question for the clients, like a list of clients. Do you just can you generate a report to see a referral source? And do you input
That's good question. So clients is actually another area we're in the process of updating, and it's going to be much more robust. And one of the actual fields is going to have like where you can add a referral. And like create tags. It's going to be a lot more robust than this. So that's coming probably in a few weeks away for that.
Okay. And for going back to accounting question, like if you're using Amex for our business, is there a way to like upload like a list of, you know, expenses and then just code those to like respective jobs? Or we have,
So, sorry if I understand correctly, like adding like a transaction or processing expense, but linking it to a job?
you know, like if you do like a reconciliation of your American Express and you can just like take, you know, your monthly statement and upload it here. So then all you have to do is just go to each charge and, you know, classify it to the jobs.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so yeah, this is not like an accounting software to that extent where like it's plugging into your bank account and like
Mhm.
automatically connecting. No, it wouldn't do that. It would be a manual in that sense. That's why a lot of our clients, some clients don't use accounting software. Like I said, they do it manual, but most of our clients do have an accounting software specifically for that purpose of just the manual or the automated transactions from your bank account.
Okay, and the
Yeah.
calendar, when you utilize it, it appears on your mobile phone like Google Calendar? Is it
Yeah, so
integrated?
like this is how it would look on your phone.
And
You
it
can
will
like change the views, like day, 3-day list view.
you would need to
But-
go to that calendar and, or it could be part of your Google Calendar as well, or is it like
We
those?
did have a Google Sync, which we temporarily separated from because we're doing this update currently. But yeah, there will be a Google Sync, Outlook, whatever calendar you use would be synced to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, I have a list.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Michal.
I'm taking this very seriously, guys.
Yes, I love it. I
amazing.
love it.
Okay. So first question is if we can, I don't know, if we can use one account on two devices. So if we have like a iPhone and an iPad,
Oh
and
yeah.
my husband sometimes goes with both, and he needs to use them both, and whatever he uses now, it always like logs out, and then he has to log it back in. And
No, yeah.
I get
That's
it.
very common. A lot of Johnny Shaking Sex, they do that all the time, with his wife and him. But yeah, it's set up perfectly for that.
Yeah, so he can use two devices.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, awesome. Good.
Yeah, I use it on my phone.
I use it on like 4
my
devices
iPad.
right now.
Yeah, I use it on my phone, my iPad, my desktop. My partner, my business partner in my plumbing business, he has, access obviously to the same account, and then we have 30 employees that all have restricted, restricted like what they can and cannot do on the app, and some guys have an Android phone, some guys an Apple phone, some guys want to use it on an iPad, on a tablet. So it works across all platforms, and again, it all works on your sign-in, right? Your email, your password, right? That logs you into your specific account.
Is it an app or is it a website that we?
So check this out. This is just for you. I'm on my phone on the same account that you're seeing on the desktop here.
Oh,
Okay, I
okay.
just created a draft invoice. Hold on. One sec. Actually, let me just do this. So I'm going to show you. I'm logged in on 2 devices, right? So I'm going to create a quick and refresh it on my screen. Cal. Okay. New. So I'm trying to go as fast as I can here. Just add a quick line item. Okay.
Oops.
Okay.
Financing. כמה אחוזים לוקחים?
All right. So see, I just refreshed, and now you can see Mikal new. So I did
Yeah.
this from my phone, and I just refreshed, and you can see like it's on the desktop here.
Okay, cool. And I see it's like on a desktop, but you have it's an app that we put the app
It's
on
an
the-
app, yeah. So you can
Okay.
get the app on any device, iPhone, Android, whatever it is.
Okay, cool. second question. So one thing that I'm thinking of all the issues we have, and then I'm putting it into questions to see if maybe you have a solution.
Yeah.
So essentially when it's the season, so there's a lot of work. And then I have, I don't know, 3-4 subcontractors that I have to send out. Okay. And I go like up, down, left and right. I don't know north, west, east. I'm not good at that. I'm like, that's how I look at the map. And I'm, I have to send someone up. I have to send someone down. I have to send someone right or left. And
Yeah.
when I have it on a schedule, I don't see who's where. So the question is, if you have some kind of map that you can have, by little color dots that I could know that this guy is up here, this guy is down here, some way to do it,
Also to plan the routes.
also so I can
Yeah.
plan the route easily.
So this is a little bit behind the scenes. I mentioned like we're doing the new schedule. So this is kind of how the new schedule will be, like, for, like you said, color coding up and down, like if you have a lot of stuff going on. This is one of the views to do that. There's no routing function like on a map yet, at least. But that's kind of the new schedule. But another thing which might be useful to you as well is one of the big updates with the schedule is being able to handle unscheduled events. So these are events where, let's say, you have to do this service on this day, but there's no time yet. The client, you don't know the time. So that's, you have a date, but no time. Or, the client is available at 11 a.m., but you're not sure which day yet. So you can have an unscheduled event there, or events where, you have to do the service, but there's no day, no time. So there's a place where you can still add these events, but they're unscheduled. And then from here, once they are scheduled, you can like drag them into the calendar. So this is just a clear panel to deal with unscheduled events.
But for your exact question, no, we don't have like a map router where you can just plug in, basically a bunch of different addresses, and then it's going to spit you out kind of like start here and go all the way down, right? And also too, just so you know,
I don't need anything automatically. I just need to see like some kind of map, and then I say, okay, where am I going to send Rafael? I see that he's up here, so I'll give him leads that are, up north.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, you would need like a tracker, right? So even with our timesheets, when somebody logs in, we GPS ping them, right? So if they say they start at 7 a.m., in smack dead inside the city, but it pings them, in the suburbs, that they didn't start there. But the reason that we did it like that is because a lot of people, we find, we got a lot of complaints, so we scaled back that the guys don't want to be tracked, right? It is like a privacy issue. Even when the guys sign in for the first time and they click like, log in for the timesheets, the pop-up comes up, and we had to basically say, are we allowed to GPS ping you, right? So the problem is a lot of guys, they turn that off, right? And then everybody ends up emailing us like, oh, it's not tracking them, right? So because there was this big thing that came out basically with privacy, that a lot of these guys don't want to be tracked. So we actually took that out. So just to get back to your question, in order to do that, we would basically, the app would have to have full GPS control of where they are at all times to give you that information.
No, I'm not saying to track them. That's not at all what I need. I need like the day before when I sit down to build the schedule, and I know, someone's calling me right now and she's saying, when can you guys come? So I say, okay, let me check when I have availability. So right now what I have to do is I have to look at the schedule. Okay, this is zip code, this and that. And I draw it on a piece of paper. I do a circle for the center, and I say, who's here, who's here, who's here. I don't need to track anybody. I just need an easy way to like look at the schedule and say, okay, so I'm gonna send Rafael here because the leads that I gave him are up here. You know what I mean? I don't need any tracking.
I get it.
It's not something that I need.
Totally get it.
Yeah, so
good feedback. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Write it down.
Yeah.
I have another question. If you have like an automatic way to like get take a 3% fee for credit cards, or 2% 8 or 2% 9?
Yeah, there is a way to do that. Sorry if I come back in here. It's not like, unfortunately, not like as automated as like click to add charge. You're essentially just adding a processing fee in the line item for the invoice. So it's a bit of a manual process, but it could be done. Like we have a 1-minute explainer video on YouTube, which I can forward to you.
So
Just
I
to
don't
show
have
you.
to like, okay, so the invoice is 6,750 and I have to charge 3% from it. So I have to do the calculation and add it, or does it do the calculation for me?
You would have to calculate it,
Oh, okay.
essentially. Yeah.
Okay, and the last question is what the price is to use your system.
Okay, financing.
Oh, and if you have
Uh,
finance, like finance, so I can offer finance to clients.
No, we're actually in talks with, I don't know if you heard of the company called Finance It. They're a big company that does this. So we are looking at an integration with them. But yeah, nothing baked in as of yet. In terms of our price, what do you think a job table is worth? If you look at this, like what would be a price
Great
that you think?
question.
What do I think it's worth?
Yeah, like if you look after seeing this demo, like what do you think we charge for this?
So I'll be honest. So if it's perfect, it's worth
Yeah.
to me. I'll pay any amount, like not any amount, but I'll pay good money for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
If
for
it's really
sure.
exactly what I need.
Absolutely.
In this situation, because it's nice. I'll give you a good feedback. I know a lot of things that I asked and it was
No,
like,
no, I take nothing personal. I love it.
I think it's beautiful. It looks good. It looks very user friendly. It seems like super easy and like to control and easy to understand. The minute you look at it, you know what you're looking at. What it's worth for me, it's hard to say because like the Wix, it was free. It was just part of having the system
The
in
website.
them.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're paying a lot of money for Workies, and it's not perfect also. We're paying
How much are you paying on approximately, Michal, for
What?
Workies? How
The
much are you
Workies?
paying right now for Workies?
I think like 250.
250. Yeah. That's usually like House Call Pro, Jobber, Workies, like it's somewhere in between.
But
like
everything
that.
I want to add on costs a lot more money. So if I want to have I don't know, all kinds of other stuff. They have a lot of add-ons.
Yeah. So yeah, we charge for it's $59 per month. There's no contracts. That gives you 3 users, and then it's $10 per month per additional user after that.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is actually a useful for a lot of service companies. We didn't get into this, but custom forms.
Costa. I think you forgot also like the how to sweeten the deal for them for them attending this call, watching the whole demo.
I was gonna save that. You know, you gotta
save the caveat for the end. Or you can't give all the cards at the beginning, right?
No, we're not at the beginning, but normally this is the price. But
for
there's
everybody
also-
walking off the street, yes. For everybody walking off the street, it's 59. It's 59 a month. For 3 users, $10 per user after the 3 users. But obviously, for everybody attending this, we have a special promo which we'll announce at the end of this call, which will basically make it like a no-brainer to get started. You know what I'm saying?
Like I know we're running short for time. We do like to offer special promos for Lior's clients and members. We're offering 50% off for the first 6 months of the base as well, and there's no obligations or contracts with our service. So yeah.
So could I ask us another small question? How do I transfer all the information? Do you guys have
Most software have you're able to export like your clients or service items. Like if you send us the CSV of whatever export, we can import it directly into Job Table.
Awesome. Great.
Beautiful. And maybe Costa, can you explain how can people apply the LSM special promo?
Absolutely. So first of all, for anyone interested, whether you want to activate it or not, we offer a 14-day free trial. Just go on jobtable.com, get started free. There's no credit card required. Everything I showed you, you have full access to for 14 days. To apply that promo, there is a promo. It's I just want to make sure I have it correctly here. I'll put it in the chat. It's LSM6 is the promo code, and that will activate the 50% off for 6 months. LSM and the number 6.
Amazing.
We took it.
We will also, I will also link it, Michal, in our private members community, with the promo and everything. Beautiful. Again, Costa, Johnny, I wanna thank you guys again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, for building this, for coming up here, showing us, taking the feedback, you know, like, and for anyone watching this, whether, you know, you're one of our members, whether you're in a newsletter, whether you found on YouTube, any running a service business, you already know the value of what you're seeing. So thank you guys again. By the way, if you found this online and don't know who we are, Local Service Mastery is a coaching company that teaches service business owners how to master lead generation themselves. And now you can basically, as a business owner, generate your own leads without ever needing to depend on marketing agency, freelance, and so on. There's going to be also a link underneath it if you want to learn a little bit more about us. But Johnny and Costa, again, I want to thank you guys again for coming up today. And guys, 50% off, 6 months, no brainer. I feel like it's really a no brainer solution for any service business. And a lot of the features probably that, you know, we talked about right now, by the time people are signing up, you'd already see things implemented and up in the production, because Costa is running fast, guys. You know, like you're talking about features, and it's not like a behemoth Microsoft, you know, 100, 200,000 people ship that you need to stir. Things are moving fast with it, with JobTable. And yeah, again, thank you all. And I look forward to seeing you guys here in the next one. Peace, guys.
Thank you, Amir.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you,
Thank you very
everybody,
much.
for your time.